Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Jack Farmer, his name's Andy Rossi, and this is the Evolution of Movie Show. Andy, I feel like I'm already laughing, I'm already having a good time. We have a fun movie to chat about today, but how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
I'm really excited about this episode, not just because we have a movie that I am excited to talk about, that I have been just bursting at the seams. It was hard to get to this point in the conversation without spilling too many beans about the movie and ruining the show. But I'm excited also because we get to bring on a guest here that is an amazing friend, an amazing person, and an amazing DJ. You and I are both DJs as well, but someone I've been very excited to have on the show, and it is none other than TREGO, the DJ. TREGO,
let's go!
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's great to see your shining faces. Jack, you're going backwards in age. Andy, you're growing a beard, but I can still see the butt chin. We're feeling good. We're feeling great.
Yeah, no matter how much facial hair Andy gets, the butt chin will always shine through. But it's a great thing. Now, TREGO, the DJ, before we get into the show, something we do in show business is we like to plug things. We like to promote things. You're a DJ.
Let me tap dance for you. Yes, I am a DJ. I would love to DJ your wedding. Your boy just raised his prices, and he is worried about it. So book me. Dear
what
God,
a great
worth every penny.
I just raised my prices. Pay me already. But you know what? Isn't that what being a DJ is all about? That raising the prices and then going, dear God, I hope this works out.
I wonder if anybody's going to believe it.
Our budget's like $250. Oh, okay. I'll be there for about 30 minutes.
We'll drive to the venue and then I will leave.
What if that was a package?
Drive, I'll go,
snap.
Later.
Interesting.
Well,
I love that.
Let's not hold off on this movie anymore. Let's get into it. But before we talk about it, great transition, by the way. Let's talk about the movie. But before we talk about it, let's explain what the show actually is. It's the Evolution of Movie Show. And we call it the Evolution of Movies because what we do is we watch a movie. We did that part already. Then we come to the show and we talk about the movie. But it's the evolution of movies because we always pick a movie that came out 1 year after the last movie we watched. So we started in 1980, went to 1981, 1982. Now we're all the way up to the year 2002. A time when movie theaters were filled with hits like The Gangs of New York, Catch Me If You Can, and of course, Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
Ooh, okay.
But we're not talking about any of those movies. We're talking about Scorpion King, a movie IMDb describes as a desert warrior rises up against the evil army that is destroying his homeland. He captures the enemy's key sorcerer, takes her deep into the desert, and prepares for a final showdown. TREGO, that basically summed up the movie. I think we're good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I think we're good here. Thank you so much, guys. It was great seeing you.
That's literally the whole movie. But TREGO,
oh, man.
Have you seen The Scorpion King before? And what were your thoughts going into it for this show?
Okay, so a little behind like baseball or whatever. So Jack was like, what movie do you want to come on for? What year? Like all the things. And I was like, I want to do The Scorpion King because it's kind of an inside joke with my brother and I. So just setting the tone, in 2002, I was 12 years old. And when you're 12, you don't have any control over your own life. Your friends in middle school, whoever's in the neighborhood, whoever your parents are friends with, like you're just trying to survive and you're trying to impress people who don't really matter. I don't talk to anybody who I was friends with when I was 12, but I thought that it was a great idea to lie to everybody and be like, I've seen that movie. And just like, I was always that kid that was just like kind of one-upping, but like for no reason. And so that included the two Mummy movies that came out before The Scorpion King.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother called me out on it one day. He was like, you haven't seen that movie? And I was like, I saw it at my friend's house. And it was just like the knee-jerk lie of my whole entire adolescence. I saw it at my friend's house. So he's still
what friend?
Probably, oh my gosh. And so
you don't know him.
I got to jump back into The Scorpion King. We got to do this. And I might have made a mistake.
I question all my decisions in life. I question now looking back at this.
Before we keep going, though, can we please say who picked this movie this week?
This was no. Now you guys know if it did not win an Oscar, Jack Farmer picked this movie. I picked the Scorpion King, baby,
Making sure
I have
the people know.
zero regrets. I regret nothing here. Okay?
Good for you. Good for you.
I picked Training Day last week.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! You came off of 2001 Training Day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
That's how this is going. We go from Training Day to Scorpion King. Spoiler alert, next week we're doing Mystic River. So
okay,
there is just
the shit sandwich, baby.
So this is just like
this has been
two incredible movies with the Scorpion King in the middle of it, because Jack Farmer has a childlike sense of entertainment here. So,
oh my gosh!
But that leads us right into the perfect little bit here, which is the guess the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh,
we always have Andy Rossi is going to try to guess what the Rotten Tomatoes score is, and then TREGO, you have to guess if the actual score is higher or lower than what.
Okay, and is this is the Rotten Tomatoes score as it came out or now? Like
this is, I guess,
the last 20 years people have been watching it.
This is whatever. If you Google it right now, I do very little research.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. We think Rotten Tomatoes is more so when it came out, but
yeah.
Okay.
But who's to stop someone from reviewing it today? I don't know.
You're right. There's nothing. We can raise that score if we all together review it.
Oh God, please don't raise
That's
it.
amazing.
You don't know how high it is. It might actually be pretty high.
I had this one's gonna be tough because this was The Rock's first lead in a feature film.
I believe his only other movie moment was like 1 second in Mummy 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So this was like The Rock at the height of his WWE career.
Right.
So can't really expect too much.
Hogan set the bar pretty high.
Yeah, No Holds Barred, Suburban Commando. This was better than those, I will say. Man, this couldn't have gotten too
Spicy
high.
take.
I'm gonna go. Man, this is probably the toughest one. It's gonna go 50.
50-50, the hardest number to pick the over under for TREGO. Do you think the score is higher or lower than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes?
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because in my head I was like, when it came out, it was probably like a 50-50 movie. But then again, if we're contributing to Rotten Tomatoes over the past 20 years, there's only internet trolls, and they're gonna be like, man, I made a better movie in my bathtub last night, or whatever they say.
It was a pretty good bathtub movie.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go with lower just because of that.
Rotten Tomatoes has the Scorpion King sitting comfortably at 41%, making it slightly lower than I think our average bad rating. It's definitely in the lower end of the rankings. Andy, was this a better or worse movie than Flash Gordon?
Oh, Flash Gordon's way better.
just putting it out there.
It had some Flash Gordon tendencies in it.
It certainly did. I saw this when it came out, and it was fascinating to me then because it was The Rock's first movie that he was doing. I'll admit I was a hater. I was like, he's going to fail and go back to wrestling. Come on, stay in your lane, The Rock.
But balls deep in wrestling at this point?
I was
in 2002.
Who wasn't watching wrestling with The Rock and Stone Cold? Anyways, I was interested to see how it would do. And that said, going into it again this time, now I didn't remember this movie at all. Surprise, I don't remember how it actually was. But I was also fascinated to go back and visit it because this guy took over Hollywood. And so it's interesting to see what his first movie was like. What was it like when the guy who takes over Hollywood first got started? And so I was interested in that from that frame of reference. And I have questions. I have questions about how this all panned out and how this went for him. So I'm excited to chat about this movie. I'm excited to get into it. I want to thank everyone, by the way, who is watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you're getting your podcasts. Appreciate you being there. Hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, share with your friends.
Smash that shit.
All of it. Just all of it. Give me everything. It makes me feel better about who I am as a person when I get a 5-star review. I'm like, it's all worth it, baby.
Yes.
But let's get into this movie, shall we? Let's talk about it. Let's quit holding off on what could be the greatest movie of all cinema history.
Wait, real quick, 2002 Kung Pao. What is that? Is it a movie about food?
You've never seen Kung Pao?
It's called Kung Pao?
Enter the Fist.
Yeah, what is this?
Why did we not watch this movie? That's
Wait.
one of my favorite movies of all time. Are you kidding me, Andy Rossi?
I don't
You're out
know.
here with your
Wait, was
swanky ass movies.
was
No,
this-
go down to the dumpster. It
Was this
is
Danny
amazing.
McBride? Was this the Danny McBride movie?
No.
No, he was.
I don't remember.
Oh, he was in some
Let me give
Enter
you
the Fist.
let me
or
give you a
something.
hot 30-second elevator pitch on Kung
Yeah.
Pao Enter the Fist. They took
Welcome to
all
this-
these.
Welcome to the Scorpion King review. This is our 30-second pitch on Kung Pao.
Yeah, wait. Tell me about it though.
Dude,
Is it
dude,
Pow
it's
POW or Pow like
POW?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's okay.
Dude, I'm passionate about this movie that we're not even reviewing. They took a bunch of like old like 70s, 80s like Kung Pao movies or whatever,
Like
in
Wu-Tang
different
movies.
languages, right?
Okay.
Just like Pow, like Bruce Lee type of things, but Bruce Lee wasn't in it. And they dubbed in this white guy, which I'm pretty sure you cannot do right now, but
No.
let's celebrate it as
Oh.
a period piece, and it is wonderful.
I
All
think
of
I
the
know what this
dubbing.
is, yes.
Oh,
he
it's
fights it. He fights a
wonderful.
cow at one point. He has a kung
He
fu
does
fight with a
Matrix
cow.
style.
Okay,
Oh my
next
gosh!
season. Next season.
Oh,
We'll
I
bring
am
TREGO back.
coming back. I will be your 2002 slut every single time. Oh my gosh.
So
We're
that
100%. I'm inviting myself.
spoiler alert. I think we might do Kung Pao next year, but
It's glorious.
2000
My nipples look like milk duds, baby. Oh, I can quote that whole movie to you right now.
2002 was definitely a dark period for cinema. I think.
Absolutely. The Twin Towers fell and they were like, how about some bad cinema? Like they were just like offering up like, what about this? Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
Andy
let's not
Rossi.
think
I
too
can't
much.
wait until we break that down in a year's
Nice.
time or whatever.
I will make sure I don't watch it until
Once
next
we get up to
So good.
7 viewers, we'll have to start doing a Patreon, and we'll do like live watch-alongs.
That would be epic. I would love
If
that.
we can,
All right,
if we can
keep
get
going.
to
Sorry.
if we can get to double digits, but let's talk about
It'll happen
the
with Kung Pao, I have a feeling.
Scorpion King. In the snow-capped mountains, ugly folk are celebrating killing a bunch of people, but now they're going to kill an Acadian until the people's champ comes through the wall like a scene out of Hercules' legendary adventures and scares everyone away with a single word: boo. Using arrows strong enough to make his rivals backflip through the air and rocking a soundtrack to titillate the ears of the viewers,
My
The
gosh.
Rock lays the smackdown on his brother's captors. We're told that a horde is sweeping the land in a time before the pyramids, led by the greatest swordsman on earth, Memnon, who has slaughtered everyone in his path.
No doubt.
TREGO, tell us about this world we're about to live in and the people that inhabit it.
I mean, the opening scene is absolutely incredible. It whips in on the ugliest dude you've ever seen with one eye. And it just, you're like, is this the movie or am I in a preview? It goes 0 to 100 real quick, right? And exactly, I love that you're like, and a bunch of ugly people were celebrating, like, decapitating. It's so true. You're just like, what's happening? There's like, obviously, like, by the way, I watched this very like floating above my body. Like I'm not sure I could tell you anything about the actual movie itself because I was just like, what is happening? And so all these people are ugly. And I just kept thinking like all these people were like extras that were like, you know, maybe had their push-up bra on and like guys got their pump on and they were like, you're going to be like a caveman in like, you know, whatever. And like the only buddy who's going to be noteworthy in this scene is The Rock. And I also thought there was such a juxtaposition between him and his brother, whose character name I don't know at all. But like he didn't put on it, like, you know, with period pieces, they have to put on some sort of vocal affectation to be like, you know, like, and he just didn't. He was like, I've been waiting for you, brother, or like whatever, like the line. I'm just like, okay, we're back to 2002 or whatever it is. And then like The Rock comes on screen, and you also have to take note of like The Rock looks really, really different. And we're not talking about like he looks younger. He looks like more like polished. He looks like he got like one of those like microbladed procedure or like he looks smooth and like glossy and like an interesting way. And like the only thing I can think of is like obviously upping like different types of steroids that he's doing, but like years of just like lifting weights and like doing stuff and whatever. It's like it built up his face more because the dude literally looks like a dolphin in this movie.
Looks like a dolphin. I was gonna say that it looks like he's had reverse plastic surgery over the like he looked like he had plastic surgery then, but not now.
I think a lot of
Right.
it had to do with that hair. His hair is outrageous.
Andy, has there ever been a movie that set the tone as quickly and as bluntly as this movie does in the first 5 minutes?
I love that you mentioned the arrows too. The arrows were like exploding into people. They were just like, "Whoa!" Just like flying back from air. I'm like, are these super arrows? And then Peter Facinelli is in this movie. Randomly, we just saw him in Can't Hardly Wait a couple weeks ago. And then Michael Clark Duncan's in here. I'm like, why are they in this movie?
What was, and I have to ask you about this, Andy. By the way, I texted you before saying a guy gets shot by an arrow and backflips and hits the wall from the force. I didn't tell you that he shot 3 arrows at the same time and did it to 2 other people in the same moment. I wanted that to be a surprise for you to unfold when you got there.
And you didn't tell me about the boo line. This is so silly. He just comes in, boo. The most non-threatening boo ever, too.
It was. I'm watching this going, is this really happening? So I have to. So this to me, and I made a reference to it a second ago. This whole scene and this whole movie definitely had a Xena warrior princess Hercules vibe to the whole movie. Yeah, I think this was like 3 years after those shows had been canceled. But this was a big budget movie with that same vibe to it.
I felt it was similar, but obviously a lot more money into it. Remember we watched Krull earlier this year? It was kind of like Krull, but like with a budget. It was just like all these weird, like you were saying, all these ugly. Krull had a one-eyed guy, so this is like a one-eyed guy. There's like damsel in distress. We'll get to her later. But all these, random weird-looking people with weird costumes, and even the guy with the one eye naming all the things that he wants. I'm like, why are you calling out? Why are you bragging about all these people you murdered? I'm like, they're gonna get you. He's just like, we murdered this person and these people and these people. It's like, dude, keep it down. They're gonna come back. They're gonna come get you.
So TREGO, at this point, was it clear to you that The Rock was going to take over Hollywood?
No, dude, it's so funny that you mentioned that. I thought the same thing. I was like, if I could time travel and put money on like some sort of bet in Vegas, that you're like, why is this even a line right now? But there's no way that you would have thought that this is the guy. And also his physique. I mean, of course we're going to get into this. Like he was just big. He was big. He was puffy. He was like on all the creatine in the world plus everything else. But like there was just no cut. It was just like, I wonder how freak show big you can get or whatever. And now he's like freak show big, but it's like his skin is like, you can read through it. It's absolutely insane. And so like, I'm just like, what is going on right now? And like, again, he's got this dolphin face. I'm just like, this is not the guy.
Yeah, he kind of had like a merman kind of vibe. Like he'd be like King Neptune in The Little Mermaid or something.
Unbelievable.
We talk about the extras and stuff. I feel bad. Like, imagine you get this role, and because I'm sure you don't really know how it's all going to play out, but you're like, Michael Clark Duncan's in this. There's these other stars in here. It's being directed by the guy who's coming off The Mask and Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I didn't even know that. Okay,
I had to look it up. And so you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a big role for.
This is it. Yeah. I saw The Mummy. The Mummy was great. Like, and let's be honest. Like, we quickly find out like this isn't The Mummy. You know what I mean? We're like,
I was wondering that. Yeah, I was like, is this? How does this? Where's what's the guy that played the Mummy? I'm like, where's Brendan Fraser at?
Yeah,
like, I don't think he's in there.
He was like, nope.
Yeah,
no, not touching that.
I want to touch on one last thing before we move on. I did love how the way he comes into the building is he like takes a giant rock and smashes it against the wall, yet the wall explodes with fire from the rock hitting the wall. Just why not add a fire explosion when you're breaking into something? But
the only other early note that I had, as I was just like, oh, The Rock is just playing The Rock. Like he is, there is no Dwayne Johnson at this point. Like it is just like, you're going to do this, maybe a little subtle. And that's about it.
No, I don't think there was, with all due respect, I don't think there was acting at all. I think he was just taking his lines and being like, boo.
I was going to say, even the music in the beginning, it like totally didn't fit with the whatever year this was, but it was just like this rock, like,
it was
the
it's like rock music.
Guitar.
Yeah.
Which is weird because there's no other electric guitar. Like if it was like a theme throughout the movie, it'd be like, okay, but like that's the only time until the credits where we hear
Godsmack
current music.
So funny. I love that we all picked up on that. That's so funny.
So the last of the free tribes are bickering about how to deal with Memnon. By the way, Memnon is the only person who gets called by their real name in this movie during this entire breakdown. They decide to send the Akkadians to kill the sorcerer who can see the future. The Rock says, as long as one of us still breathes, the sorcerer dies. The Akkadians start killing people willy-nilly, zip-lining into a camp and killing guards who are just trying to provide for their family. But the guards pull a fast one on the Akkadians and shoot them all with arrows, except for the Rock, who climbs into a tent and finds the sorcerer. And what a sorcerer! She says that she has been lied to. So, like any red-blooded male would do, the Rock completely changes his motivations and kills everyone around him until he's in good standing with the woman. The Rock is caught eventually by Memnon, who is excited about having an Akkadian and shows off that the prince from before cut off his dad's head and joined Memnon. Then Memnon kills Rock's dad, brother. I don't really know what their relationship is at this point, but the sorcerer likes what she sees in the Rock. So she says that the Rock can't die by Memnon's hand or any hand that he commands. Andy, you know I hate when things happen that don't matter. And I felt like
this whole movie had that. Like he never avenged his brother. His brother got kidnapped, and then he got kidnapped again. Then they killed him. He was like,
And I was going to complain about it, but this movie
he was a character actor.
That's what he does. I get kidnapped. It's what I do. Okay. Like we want you to be the hero at the end. Nope, not what I do. I get kidnapped.
What was their word to live free, die well? He died. Pretty
not well. But there were certain things in this movie that I kept thinking you probably didn't need to add that part in. But then I realized the movie's only 90 minutes long. If they cut out the stuff that was unnecessary, this would be a 30-minute movie show.
It was action packed like throughout the whole thing. There was never any which was great. I don't think you wanted to hear like The Rock have like a big monologue at the time.
Totally.
Was this the ants part or is that later?
That's later. That's right after this.
I got so much to say about that.
So TREGO, they act throughout the build to this. They're making me feel like Akkadians are this super awesome, like badass group of people, like Spartans or something.
Totally.
Yet they were clearly wiped out. So can't be that cool. And everyone except for The Rock kind of seems like an idiot. I mean, they walk right into traps. They get kidnapped constantly. Why do they act like the Akkadians are so great? They seem kind of like morons.
I don't know. Like literally the prequel is just like so that you understand that The Rock was the only decent human of this race. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was crazy. Have we also talked about how homeboy who's got like who's Agamemnon? What's his name?
Memnon.
Memnon.
By the way, his name was written about 17 different ways in my notes until I corrected it before.
His eyes are as blue as yours, Jack. Like I'm just like this guy does not.
Clearly
he's
evil.
Getting sunburnt at 8 a.m. Like it is not going well for him. And I'm just like, we couldn't get anybody kind of ethnic for this guy. It's just like The Rock, who's kind of ethnic, and then this guy who's white. Like, oh my gosh. It's just interesting.
I was thinking when you look at the part of the world they were supposed to be in, I don't think any of the major characters were from that part of the world, actually.
100%.
Whether you be like The Rock or the Sorcerer or Memnon.
Do we know where they were?
Or
I have no idea.
They alluded to the pyramids, so I assume Egypt. I guess that kind of to the next thing I want to talk about. Andy, at this point, did The Rock strike you as the guy that was going to be the future of Hollywood?
You know, I definitely remember people talking about how The Rock was going to be the next action superstar, the next Schwarzenegger. And I was like, you are out of your mind. There's no way. If anybody's going to be Stone Cold, he's going to be the superstar. So
Oh, hell yeah.
I would have never expected it. But man, the guy's. I mean, look, I think he's the. Hasn't he made the most money in the last 10 years or something like that? Like
Of movie stars?
I think his movies have
actors?
grossed the most or something. Yeah,
I'm sure. I think he's one of those guys. I think every movie he's been in has been like #1 that weekend.
I probably would have bet on Michael Clark Duncan. I'm like, he's going to be the leading. I mean, he's a monster.
Dude,
It's 100% of what I thought. My biggest gripe about the whole movie is that he wasn't in it enough. Like, he's amazing.
That was probably his choice.
Probably.
He was like,
hi, agent, could you write me out of a couple of scenes?
Hey, we got you some more lines. Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
You know, I just did the Green Mile, right? I literally was in a movie with Tom Hanks.
But and Andy, maybe I just to throw it back to you regarding this, because TREGO, you alluded to Memnon. To me, and let me know if I'm wrong, Andy, he did not strike fear in my heart. I did not feel like he was an intimidating bad guy at all.
No, I thought he was like a male model. To be honest with you, I'm like, that's a good-looking guy. Kind of remind me of Frost from Blade. Kind of like a small, kind of like he said, with the blue eyes, and like I'm like, this guy doesn't seem very frightening. Michael Clark.
Yeah, and he like walks up and he's like,
that's the difference.
He's like, "Ayo, kill all of them at once." Like, and you're just like, "What? That guy? Like, that could be my neighbor." Like,
yeah, because the whole time he's like bossing people around. He's like, "You better do what I say." And I'm like, "Shut up." Like, I feel like everyone around him looked like they could beat him up. And
dude was absolutely on an apple box. I would put all my money in that dude was standing on an apple box.
That'd be great if the editing was bad. So you see him walk up to someone and like step up onto it. He stands next to somebody. I mean, he was a good looking fella. I just didn't look at him and think, oh, don't mess with him. He's terrifying, especially after watching like The Boys and seeing like Homelander, who is absolutely terrifying as a villain or something. I see this guy, I'm like, I don't doubt for a second The Rock would beat him up. Look at The Rock and look at this guy.
He looked like one of the, what do you call it? The wrestlers that are they called jobbers that come in and they just lose right away. He'd be the guy that goes in the ring and you're like, oh yeah, Agamemnon, he's really good. It's like, but
no one's getting his name right.
But that's
it's the one name I put in my notes.
But that's The Rock. The Rock's gonna murder that guy. I think he's got a shot. Oh no, match is already over. What is his name?
Memnon. Memnon sounds like what you would call him if you were making fun of him. Like, hi, I'm Memnon.
Can we put a pin in this real quick and allude to that I had to rent this off of YouTube, and so I know that there are not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Scorpion King movies. Do you know that?
No.
Oh my god! And they started like, this one goes out to theaters and this one goes out to VHS. By the end, it was like, this one goes straight into the trash. Like, just throw it away.
How do you after seeing this movie go, we need 3 more of those?
You didn't have questions that needed to be answered?
No, they wrapped it up.
There were so many loose ends, Andy Rossi.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
So, no, I'm going to go watch them right after this. I do want to say that this movie, for it being an action movie in 2002, by the way, again, we talked about this is 10 years after Terminator 2, one of the best action movies of all time. They had great action movies. This felt like TV action movie, like action scenes. It did not feel like, it was one of those things where like they just swing the sword wildly at each other. It doesn't feel it feels like there was no planning on how these were going to go out. They just said, hey, just kind of swing your swords around. And, all the stuff felt very TV as opposed to big budget movie. Yeah, it's a big budget movie.
And the sound effects, I don't know if you noticed, every time The Rock like punched somebody, it was like,
who's doing Foley on this?
Like, he's very powerful.
If you didn't know, he's a very strong guy. The Rock finds himself buried to his head, about to get eaten by fire ants, when a horse thief finds a way to break free and take out the guards. He makes The Rock promise to keep him as a buddy, and we're told that Acadians can never go back on their oath. Meanwhile, the sorcerer has seen visions of some good news for our boy Memnon. Now, the sorcerer, she's not happy about it, but Memnon is like, hear me out. I can bring obedience, which are pretty strong words when your own sorcerer is giving you sass, but I digress. She says that the day he wins is the day she loses her sight, because if she bones someone, she isn't magical anymore.
Oh.
Tale as old as time.
So, Andy, you wanted to talk about the fire ants.
Yeah. The fire ants that's terrifying. Imagine you're buried and then the ants are coming. So many things. One, it's the old like bad guy trope where they just put them out there and go, the ants will get them. There's not one like villain that's like Memnon isn't there going like, well, let's see these ants. Like nobody is there to like make sure it all happens, right? And then I'm super wondering how the horse thief got out of there. And then I'm wondering how he got the rock out of there. And we never see it. They never show us. They never show us how did he get out of the sand?
Is that wondering. The very ugly guy with the very bad wig?
Well, that's just mean.
He's got a very bad.
His name is Horse Thief.
His name is Horse Thief. That's all I call him in this movie. Is Horse Thief.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to assume it's him. Keep going.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how they escaped.
Yeah, at the end of your point, I thought he was going to be like a wizard or something, because I thought he would have been like, "Oh, I have magical powers." But no, he somehow tunneled out in the blink of an eye, and
we don't know how.
And to your point, it's so funny. No one else is there, like not even like a group of guards or anything. I feel like
I think there was guys kind of hanging out, but they weren't like next to it. They're like eating a Subway sandwich.
This is okay. So this is me really thinking too far into a movie like this, because right as the fire ants are coming, the guard goes to use the bathroom. Like, isn't that the part where you would stick around as a guard? Is like once the fire ants are coming,
yeah,
like you're gonna sit and watch these guys with nothing going on. Like, oh, the fire ants are out. Time to go use the bathroom. Like that's kind of when you should be there, right?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if that is really.
And then even the casual way the guy saves the rock, he's just like he blows fire from like far away, and then the rock has to like eat some of them and smush some of them.
I did think it was cool how he was kind of crushing with his chin a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was
right. That's cool. He ate a couple.
I did. TREGO, why was this guy, the horse thief, so awesome? Like to Andy's point, like he can sneak around, he's blowing fire, he's taking out guards. Yet the rest of the movie is completely worthless.
Oh, I just thought he was like the added like humor of it. That's why I was just like, dude, I have no idea. This is just like such a half-baked script. It's not even funny. It's and then there was nothing there. Like, what did they cut down from? They whatever. So no,
yeah, it's not like this is a 2-hour movie where like, oh, there's a lot of fluff. It's like they couldn't take anything else out. I think they had to fill time. I think they had to put stuff in to like bump it up.
And let's just go back to this. And I can't wait to get canceled for this. This chick was so fine. Like was she? So is she a wrestler? Like,
I don't know.
Is she like somebody? Bro, she was so hot. 12-year-old me is just like, yes, in the background, like yes. Also, it's just like the most blatant, like let's add some like sex in it to like keep people's attention. There's a point later, like a random scene where somebody's arm wrestling a chick with like insane body.
I think they had to. It was basically like, hey, there's going to be a bunch of teenagers that watch wrestling are going to be watching this movie, so let's give them what they want.
We're making fun of it, but maybe they were just like, look, why overthink this? It's going to be watched by a bunch of 13-year-olds. Like, let's not spend a bunch of money on a script and thinking this through. We're just going to have The Rock running around beating people up and a bunch of girls, and voila, we're done.
And like, did you also mention, like, I would love to know what the actual budget was for this movie, because like at points I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, it's coming off of The Mummy, so it made money. Like, it's like, I think just by them making the movie, they were guaranteed to make, I don't know, 100 million or whatever a appreciable amount of money is. But like, they were shooting in like Agora Hills, and they were shooting in like Joshua Tree. I'm like, we've seen all these shots before. Like, I can tell you, I can take you within a 1 mile radius of where that is. You know
Talk
what I'm
about a
saying?
date.
Like, 100%.
Let me show you
And
where
so,
the Scorpion King was filmed.
yeah, come on up. I know it's your favorite.
I DJ'd a
But-
wedding there.
By the
yeah,
way,
exactly. Where's
by
the
the way,
giraffe?
quick Google, 60 million to make this movie.
Okay.
$60 million was put into this movie.
Know.
And it probably grossed like 90 million.
Yeah.
180.
Oh my
This was
god.
this was actually a very successful movie.
Super successful.
Totally.
No
Well, that's
wonder
why
they
they went
made it.
in. Yeah. No wonder they went all in on it. And
So-
Three more.
On the rock. Yeah. Keep them
Though-
coming.
Though in comparison, by the way, The Mummy did 416 million, Mummy Returns 435 million, and the third Mummy did 403 million. So
Damn.
I didn't know there was a third one. Oh, my whole world is devastated. Wow. Okay.
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor,
Hmm.
which I only know because I have it pulled up
I
right
remember
now
that
as
one.
we
That's
speak.
some bullshit. That's
You're so
absolutely
upset.
terrible.
You're,
No,
TREGO hates Jet Li, confirmed.
confirmed. Yeah. Dude,
So-
oh my gosh. It's like, can we just take a quick second? The second Mummy is so good. And the first Mummy is fine to get to the second one. It's so good. And that's why I was like, I can't wait until I don't remember what this movie is going to be. It's like, I can't wait until The Rock is this like centaur dude who's going to be like half scorpion. And it never fucking came. And I was the worst.
I remember,
Oh.
watching. I think a lot of people went to go see it because they heard The Rock was in it. And yeah, it was that 1 second at the very end with just his face plastered onto some special effects thing. Speaking of the Scorpion King, they head to Gamora, and The Rock uses the horse thief to sneak into the city. The Rock leaves the horse thief at a bar so that The Rock can go fight some thieving kids before going and finding a Scorpion King era Mr. Wizard who directs everybody to Memnon. Memnon messes up some dudes during training before catching an arrow, and The Rock shoots an arrow of his own to save the dumb kid from getting chopped. To get away, The Rock catapults himself into Memnon's harem, which they say Memnon visits rarely. The guards catch up to him, and he fights them all before landing in the sorcerer's bath. And man, The Rock is having some luck when it comes to throwing himself into different rooms. He ends up escaping down the drain, and The Rock says that he needs to kill the sorcerer, but she's more valuable to him alive, which sort of throws the whole must keep their oath thing right out the window. The whole gang escapes the city together. So this
Oh my
feels
gosh.
like, TREGO, this feels like they get into Gamora, and it feels like this whole scene is really just to add a few extra characters that will ultimately mean nothing, and then to have The Rock fly from room to room filled with women.
It's unbelievable. I mean, maybe that's
canceled. I'm just saying what happened in the movie. I feel like it's fair for me to say if that's what happened.
maybe that was really the life that The Rock led, and maybe this is an autobiographical point in this movie. But yeah, I wasn't getting much from this. This was it absolutely, when I was floating over my body, like going like, I can't believe they made this movie. I can't believe that this is our guy now. I can't believe that he might be president one day. Like all of this,
Might be.
I'm just swirling down the toilet right now. So you guys tell me your take, because I just got enough.
Again, this guy, the biggest name possibly in the history of Hollywood over the next 20 years.
And I love, like, TREGO, you mentioned earlier about the sorcerer. So it's just so perfect for, like, probably they were just gearing towards like teenage boys watching this movie. And it's like, I just love the kid. He throws a coin into the fountain, probably saying like, I wish I had a naked chick. And then she like pops up out of the fountain. I'm like, oh, that's so perfect.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of funny.
That was great.
I kind of dug that.
That was great.
They had good moments that were like kind of tongue in cheek and kind of cheap, but like there was too much of that. It was like baking oh, I'm gonna make a cake, but it's gonna be sprinkles flavored. It's like, no, sprinkle, it goes on top of the cake, but you need to have an actual flavor itself. It was just no, it's gonna be made out of sprinkles and it's gonna rock. It's
he did the people's eyebrow though, right? When he went into the harem of women.
Of course he
That was
did.
great.
Of course he did.
I thought that was great.
It was weird to me that they specifically had to call out that Memnon visits his harem rarely.
He's busy.
He doesn't even appreciate it, this asshat.
Right, like, because then, you know, my first thought was like, oh, well, he has the sorcerer that he's into, but they've made that abundantly clear nothing's going on over there. Like, should I feel bad that the sorcerer is leaving him that Memnon, the sorcerer is leaving Memnon? Because Memnon is like, look, I got a harem, but I don't care about them, babe. I love you. And she's like, whatever, the Rock is here. I just, that was a weird line to throw in, is all I'm saying. I feel like there's some onion peeling that didn't happen from that line.
I think they were just trying to
You
show
guys are going to leave me to die on the vine.
I was going to
this,
say,
huh?
I think they were just showing that The Rock was very desirable. These women, like, we're like, we haven't had anything in a long time, Rock. And then he's like,
yeah,
you know, I'm in. Then he leaves.
It all
and
starts
what,
with the eyebrow.
and what luck. He leaves and he finds another naked lady.
So Trego, explained to me how they've multiple times talked about how, like, once an Akkadian says they're going to do something, they're going to do it. And he's like, look, as long as I breathe, this sorcerer is dead. And the horse thief's like, look, when an Akkadian says an oath, it comes true. The second he meets the sorcerer, he's like, never mind.
Dude, because her body don't quit. I mean, let's be honest.
He just chucked all that out the window. He's like,
oh my god!
Forget what I said.
You alluded to this before, and I don't want to miss it. Is you were like, everything is so obvious in this movie, right? Everything is just so in your face. It's so like, they must have thought 20 years ago that audiences were so dumb and that they will never understand subtlety. They will never understand character development and, like, you know, like small little moments and whatnot. I mean, you have to understand that your leading player is a wrestling entertainment figure. Its executive producer was Vince McMahon. So, like, it's coming from that world, but at the same time, I'm just like, dude, if they just did everything that they did, but had like a little bit darker tones, like a little bit, like, you know, kind of moving everything together, and just like, if you pick it up as an audience member, great. If not, that's okay too. I think that this was a great example of like why Hollywood's dead now in a way. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, 20 years ago, you were force feeding people like they were idiots. And now, like, that passed them, and you have these great, you know, TV shows that, you know, they can go through. Like, I thought of this as like the Game of Thrones era. And I was like, you know, an hour of like blended baby food puree of like, this is what you get, pig, versus like, you know, this like 100-hour epic saga. It just felt like it was done very poorly. Like, they didn't have any respect for the audience or anything like that. And then at other points, we're like, the chick was hot, and I liked it when he flipped the coin to the kid. Like, we're like, we fell for it, but at the same time, it's like there wasn't enough payoff for those moments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's interesting as you're saying this, I'm realizing that I think this, like The Sopranos and 24 and a lot of those shows that really picked up that TV was like going to be the more interesting thing was kind of around that time, if I'm not mistaken, 20, or at least right after. Because I think The Sopranos was obviously the big one, but even like the non-HBO shows, like I say, for me, it was 24 is what got me really into like binge watching shows and stuff.
Hell yeah.
That's where those shows really started, like, kind of coming in, was during that time period.
I wanted to mention one thing that I just thought was funny. When I called him Little Aladdin, that kid that grabbed his stuff and ran off. So they're about to chop off this kid's arm, and the Rock has like a few arrows, right? And he keeps going, do I shoot that? Do I shoot him? Do I shoot the kid? Do I shoot the kid? I'm like, you have multiple arrows. Because right after he shoots to try to save the kid, then he shoots at the guy. Like, I'm like, why didn't you do that before?
Did we not also just see him earlier in the movie shoot 3 guys at the same time?
And they like flew.
I mean,
I'm like, oh my gosh. We didn't even talk about the dude who catapulted into the ceiling and then got set on fire. It was the most over the top. Like, oh, he dead.
I think that's one of the things that kind of made this funny too, is that it was like, to your point, those moments, like, it was like such a kind of like very basic level. Like even the characters are about as are archetypical like characters. Like you mentioned, the kid, the old scientist guy. All like they're very. You see them in every movie. But then you'd have those moments where like some guy just gets lit on fire and you're like, whoa, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Yeah, I don't know.
And we speak about TV and is I want to talk about like now this movie is way too short to be a series, obviously, but this actually played out a lot like a TV where it felt like this would be the first episode, this would be the second episode, and you can even see like how he has his fights in different scenes. Almost feels like it's building up to like what would be a season finale. It was interesting in that regard.
There was no fear that it's like the main character would die at any of this, right? And like it's like you're just like, oh, this is just building to the very end. Sorry, Andy.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, are camels that fast? I feel like he was on like a camel and he was just cooking. Like he was like the camel against all those horses, and he was just like super fast. Anyway, that's it.
Well, Memnon wants to give The Rock an arrow, I guess. As the gang heads to, let me check my notes, more desert. The sorcerer tries to run, but the Rock's smoldering keeps her by his side. The guards come after them, and the Rock fights them all alone with a storm that he saw coming, blinding everyone but him because he's got the cool headgear. The bad guys, they go into a cave and get sucked into quicksand. The Rock picks them off one by one in pretty horrific ways, like stabbing them onto the stone. The final guard stabs the Rock in the leg with his lucky arrow before he dies. And then after a very sexy stand up out of the sand moment, the Rock falls to his knees, passed out. The sorcerer decides to save him in the sexiest way possible before they are both unconscious. Andy,
yeah, could I just read my notes on that part?
Yes,
I wrote, she straddles him and sucks the poison out.
I was not mad at that.
I'm like, what is happening?
It was very, I mean, I guess to the point, maybe this is just old man Jack talking, but like, I was like, it was so, again, on the nose, like, okay, we get it. We get what you're trying to do. You don't need to be that blatant about it. Because it's one of those scenes where I always think like, is this one of those scenes that I'm going to be embarrassed if someone walks in? Like, what am I going to think like if I'm watching this and someone walks in, hey, what are you watching? Oh,
well,
totally.
And I was wondering too, because I had never seen this movie, knew nothing about it, but I knew it was called The Scorpion King. So I'm like, oh, eventually. I even told my wife we were watching. I go, I think he gets bit by a scorpion, and then he becomes like this monster. I don't know. but once he had like the scorpion in him, I'm like, oh, this must be where he turns into the scorpion, and then she sucks out because it was like scorpion poison, right? So she sucks out the scorpion poison. I'm like, wait. Now he's not going to be the Scorpion King. So I was all sorts of confused. I was kind of mad at her. I'm like, that was nice of you, but now he's not going to be the Scorpion King.
And they show a scorpion for like 1 second, and you're like, ha, 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 and then it's gone, and you're like, never mind. Got egg on my face. All right, whatever.
The name Scorpion King is completely irrelevant in this entire movie. Like scorpions have nothing to do with this movie. By the way, the actress went on to play Sonya in Cradle to Grave and Lady Deathstrike in X2, X-Men.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Now we're back.
After that, it looks like she did a lot of like voice acting.
Was Cradle to the Grave, was that Jet Li as well?
I think so. Was that Jet Li? I want to say in DMX.
Sounds right. Next season.
So yeah, this was again, I don't really know if there's a whole lot to take from, but that scene where he takes the headgear off, I remember definitely being a trailer moment. But this is another one of those moments where you're like, why the arrow? Why, like the whole thing felt very unnecessary. Like a whole lot of. But again, then I look, it's 90 minutes. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, take more out of it? Again, I can't.
His hair during that scene where he takes off his thing is it looks like a Perts Plus commercial or something. His hair's like flowing. It's got a nice volume to it.
Absolutely.
So
what an unnecessary movie. I literally wrote in my notes at the very end. I go, I guess I don't care about the Scorpion King.
Well,
which is who, by the way, we never even know.
Well, someone who did care about the Scorpion King was the sorcerer because she risked her life to save him. She says she saved the Rock so that he could save the people. The Rock sends a message to Memnon, who acts like all things are good. The crazy scientist shows us that he's created gunpowder, which I'm sure works out great for humanity. They grab a drink in a pond and are immediately captured, meaning that these guys who captured them must be way more dangerous than the palace guards are. The Green Mile shows up and says he's going to kill the Rock, so we get a fight between the two super heavyweights.
That one's great. That's a great fight.
The Rock is tested, but he gets the win. They decide against the wishes of the Green Mile that they will fight together against Memnon. All seems good until the sorcerer has a vision that Memnon is going to kill everybody, including the Rock. Then, Andy, walk us through the sex scene.
Well, I love that that it finally happened, though. I mean, they were definitely leading to it.
For sure.
There's a line I wanted to say, though. I don't know if it happened during this part, but he says, "I've come for the woman and your head."
So, Trego, this is clearly just where we put everyone together and they team up, but they had that one last fight. I feel like Michael Clark Duncan, Green Mile, as I call him throughout this whole movie, you could not, gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what his name is in this movie.
No, not a chance.
And in fact,
no.
Near the end, someone said the Rock's character's name, and I literally said to myself, wait, who's that? I was like, oh, the Scorpion King, the Rock. But this fight scene to me was probably the best fight scene of the movie. And Michael Clark Duncan, let's give that guy some flowers. He was yoked.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I absolutely was thinking that. Dude, I'm just like, this dude is on the sauce, and I celebrate it. Oh, it was so great. Oh,
yeah, it's just like two heavyweight champions just like duking it out. He even jumped off the top ropes at one point, The Rock.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I thought they were going to work in more wrestling moves at some, just as like little nods, but they didn't really.
Yeah.
But
it was very wrestling heavy fighting, though. Like, you know, these monster punches.
How did Michael Clark Duncan not become an action hero after this, though? I mean, that guy was
a great question.
That guy.
What did he do? Massive. What did he do the rest? Like the
probably Oscar movies.
His in Talladega Nights.
He was Ricky Bobby's friend.
Oh my gosh, you guys are making me think about all the good movies. I will say this whole experience has been really good. Oh my god, what a just a masterpiece. Your action movies, I know that you're going to grab the cash at the box office, but I figured out they have no staying power. Like, you're just like, whatever. The comedies of old, so good, but I got so nostalgic watching it, and it also was really refreshing. Like, I'm now jealous of you guys that you guys get to sit down and watch a movie with nothing else to do. I was like, I can't remember the last time that I wasn't like answering emails and I wasn't like scrolling Instagram, and like I was like, I'm sitting down and watching this movie. I was like, this is awesome. But the kicker was that the movie that we picked was The Scorpion King. So it really but
there's a price to pay one way or the other. Either you get to watch the movie, but it's going to be Scorpion King.
Can we just talk about how like the equivalent to this sex scene was in The Lion King, where they like she lays down on the bed of flowers and it's supposed to say sex behind her. It is so terrible. It is just like, it was like, you got the hottest chick, he's great, like all this stuff, and there's just nothing. I don't see lower back, I don't see a leg. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think the scorpion poison was a better scene. Yes. But this is where I realize Andy, and again, you're an actor, you've directed, you've produced, you've done all this stuff. I don't mean to pick on people, but this is where I realized I don't think a single person in this movie has chemistry with any other person in this movie. I don't think there's one good chemistry connection.
Yeah, agreed.
I think there's not one like, oh, well, those two seem to really like connect. Every one of them, this isn't working.
The only connection was they had Michael Clark Duncan and The Rock had a very Rocky Balboa Apollo relationship because they battled. And I felt like if they made the sequel with those two guys, which I know I'm guaranteeing neither of them are in the sequel, but they probably like respected each other, respected their fighting style and their size. But that was about it.
We get to the final part of this movie.
Bring us home, baby.
The sorcerer returns to Gamora and pretends to align herself with Memnon, while the Kingpin sneaks in with some women, and the Rock uses a grappling hook. Memnon sends his men to bed because one of the guards questioned him, which cracked me up a little bit. It's bedtime. I don't like your attitudes. Memnon rightfully doubts the sorcerer's power because it's gone since she boned the Rock. So he makes her test which vase has a snake in it. She gets the first one right, then has to go to the second. She pulls the snake out of the vase and distracts Memnon just long enough to allow the Rock to swing in and kick Memnon. The Rock tries to kill him, but Memnon tries to kill the Rock, but Memnon's able to do it with his shirt on. The palace guard.
I mean, good actor choice. They'd be like, hey, both of you are supposed to have your shirt off. I have to have my shirt off with that guy.
The palace guard enters the throne room, and the former rivals fight back to back against the palace guard while Memnon runs away. The Rock chases him through fire, and the Green Mile kills the evil backstabbing prince in a moment that made me go, that prince's role was completely unnecessary in this entire movie. While Memnon uses dual fire swords to try to kill the Rock, this opens up a random dude to shoot the hero in the back, but the Rock, like the world champion he is, just yanks the arrow out of his back and shoots Memnon in the chest while his friends blow up the palace, killing a ton of innocent people in the process, I assume. Then after Memnon's dead, everyone's just like, I guess you're the king now. And the sorcerer says, I still have powers, and peace will be here for a little bit. We get taken out to the soulful sounds of Godsmacks. I stand alone. TREGO,
let's also, the one part of this of the summary that you're missing is she's like, they're at the very end, and he's like, you don't have your powers anymore. And she's like, bitch, we'll figure it out. It's so good. Oh, I love that part.
And then he gives her the look that, like, it's like a meme now, where he's like, like the creepiest, like, grin look. Like,
oh, it's so good.
Wouldn't this have been the best, though? Like, this totally would fly in the face of everything this movie was, but wouldn't it be great if they're looking at each other and then the Rock, like, stabs the sorceress and is like, I said as long as I breathe.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Oh my god.
I said I was going to do this, and I'm finishing the job. I would have loved it. It would have been a terrible.
And it turned out his brother wasn't dead. He was just kidnapped again because he's an idiot.
He was kidnapped again. So, Andy, can you explain to me how a bunch of conquered cultures and tribes are just going to let some random dude take over them since he killed the other guy? I mean, I feel like that rule wouldn't last very long.
I think it's just there's a lot of dumb people, and they just look at the Rock. I mean, he's made out of stone, and his hair is beautiful. So it's just like, that guy seems like the right one. Yeah,
it was the same people in the first scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Rock looks down at his ugly people who are.
I am beautiful.
They're like, the beautiful man is who we will answer to. Now, TREGO,
the other guy didn't even sleep with the girl.
Not interested.
So, one thing I wanted to say, I think Memnon was actually the braver of the two, because he was told straight up, look, the Rock can't die from your hands or anyone you command. But he was like, look, I'm still doing this. I'm still going to fight you one-on-one. I don't care. I'm brave. I felt like Memnon was kind of like the dude, you know? No?
Sure. I don't know. He flew pretty far. That's all I know from that arrow. He could have killed him earlier.
He didn't backflip, though, so he took it better than the first guy did.
Yeah, that's true.
To your point, at no point in this movie did I feel like The Rock was threatened in any way, shape, or form. I never felt like he was an underdog ever in this movie. The sorcerer says, he will not die by your hand or anyone you command's hand, yet the lost all hope moment is supposed to be when someone who answers to Memnon shoots him with an arrow. If I'm putting pieces together in this story, then I knew he wasn't going to kill the Rock, because the sorceress told us he wasn't going to kill the Rock.
But now she can't do anything.
No, she said that was a lie.
Oh, I missed that. Wait, yeah. So she still had her powers?
Yeah, she said they just said that so people wouldn't take advantage of her.
I missed that.
So
wait, I missed that too. Are you kidding me?
That's why she says I see that there'll be a
Gotcha.
lot of peace, because she said we just like our sorceress people just say that so people won't take advantage
Or maybe
of
The
us.
Rock didn't really go all the way.
Maybe he doesn't know what all the way really is.
He's like, wait, you still have your powers even after last night? She's like, yeah, still do. It's like,
Oh,
huh.
the horse thing was like,
man.
yeah, I was sitting
It
right there,
was
nothing
quick.
happened.
Yeah, no, she's good. You just talked all night.
Oh man, she really knows how to cuddle you when you cry.
Was this the point we all knew that The Rock was taking over Hollywood?
Oh my god.
Oh, absolutely.
What was his
next
sorry,
movie?
what was his next couple few? Pain and Gain, where's what?
Pain and Gain is so good.
That movie should actually be on our next roll through.
Oh, it's good.
I gotta pull up IMDb here because we gotta know.
Because let's give the guy a little bit of credit. Like, he started from the bottom. Like, we all DJ weddings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would not want to have been one of my first 50 couples, but we faked it till we made it. And it was funny too, while you're pulling that up, Jack, it was funny too, Andy, did you realize that like The Rock was making like technical acting choices that were not good? It was like, like glance over here, like and he would just be like, bro, like share with the camera.
I even told my wife that. I go, I'm sure he got some acting classes after this movie.
Totally.
His next movie was The Rundown.
And then Walking
which
Tall,
is with
right?
and then Walking Tall. So Rundown was the one I think with the guy from American Pie, Stifler.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Walking Tall I think was just him.
Was that the spoof of the Walk Hard movie?
No. But now I want a Walking Tall spoof. Yeah, and then he did Be Cool, and then he did Doom.
Be Cool was the start of The Rock.
Yeah, so he did the big monologue from
like he actually had acting
from Bring It On. He did a monologue from Bring It On in that movie.
Doom was where I really realized he was going to make it somewhere. No. Then he did Gridiron Gang was a big one. The Game Plan, Get Smart, Race to Witch Mountain.
Like, because he's like enormous now. He's like a tank.
You
he's
mean
like
size-wise or actually like fame-wise?
Size-wise. Because he's like ridiculous now. Like, because he's big in Scorpion King, but now he's like
I bet
cyborg.
you he's comparable. I bet you he's comparable weight though. He's just bigger and shredded. Like,
I think he's bigger, like much bigger than he was. I think he's like frighteningly large now.
I think he's taller now too.
Yeah, he's. I think he became
6'9" now.
I think it was probably in 2011. He did Fast 5. That's when he joined the Fast and Furious universe.
That's when I knew he was huge. Because Vin Diesel, the first time you saw Vin Diesel, you're like, oh, that guy's pretty big. And then The Rock stands next to him. You're like, oh, like, what is that guy, 5'3"? Like, just tiny compared to The Rock.
Yeah, because that's when he really started going with like G.I. Joe and Pain and Gain. And
his best physique was when he was Hercules. Bro.
Yeah, he was massive. 2014.
Holy shit. Wow. Yeah, I mean, just doing injections middle of the night. God damn.
That guy.
Hey, with the right diet, the right amount of sleep.
Sleep. Stretching before and after working out.
He officially went on the record a while back. I don't know if he's reneged on it, but he was like, yeah, I tried steroids one time in college. I didn't like it. I was like, okay. Like,
you loved it. He's like, I didn't like it. I loved it.
I did it one time because I never took it out. Like, it's just pumping in. No, he is so big. I mean, like
bless him. Do it, but just be transparent. Like, nobody cares, dude.
I don't really care. Whatever.
No,
dude. Like,
not at all.
You're The Rock. Like, you'll just make it cool anyways. Just make it cool.
So sick.
So I'm
going with Be Cool was the turning point for him. That I will say that's the turning point for me.
Yeah, I kind of remember that too. Yeah.
That is probably when he became legit, because he was doing the action movies, but I think because he was in there with other stars was what did it. Like, he was kind of palling around with other real Hollywood stars. And I think that kind of put him in. It made it, yeah, basically what I'm saying. It was no longer Rock doing small roles. It was him. Well, he's a small role, but it was him in a real movie as opposed to a let's test The Rock out in an action movie, I guess.
The Rock could be in an NCIS movie, like episode, and it would be the most broadcasted thing of all time.
Yep.
Like he doesn't need anybody anymore. Like it's over.
Yeah. Oh, he can do. I mean, I would say the fact that he went into Fast and Furious and like, oh no, this is my franchise now. Mm-hmm. And like he went into G.I. Joe with like Channing Tatum and like other known names at the time, and he's like, oh no, this is my franchise now. This is my
took
my
over thing. Baywatch.
Took over Baywatch. Oh, Hasselhoff, get out of here.
Oh my gosh.
We should do a whole season on The Rock.
Whoa, that'd be amazing. But you don't have movies for 1980s, so you're like, I think that this was his favorite film of 1980s.
I do wish
Schwarzenegger movies.
I would be very interested in if they were to take this movie. I wonder what this movie would look like if they made it today with the kind of budget he would command, with what he could do today, how he looks today. I mean, obviously, if Michael Clark Duncan was still alive, like those things. Like,
is he dead? I swear to God, is he dead?
He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
So did his heart let out from all those steroids. Oh, you some juicy.
He was jacked. I'm surprised. He was massive in that movie, and based on what I saw in that movie, there's no way that was special effects.
He should have been the main villain, not the male model guy.
Yes,
100%.
Yes,
sick. Some Xerxes looking motherfucker.
Yeah, like you said, that he probably was, and then he's like, "Oh wait, I signed in for this movie."
He was reading the wrong part. He was like, "Yeah, so I'm Memnon, right?" Like, oh no. For me, this movie was, to be fair, it was stupid. It was not a good movie, but it was a very easy watch, and it was very. I felt like it was a very good dumb show to put on and not think. And it was short. It didn't overstay its welcome, so I give it those plus points. Again, a dumb movie, but I could imagine if it was on like TNT as I'm flipping through the channels.
Sure.
Do people flip through channels anymore? I don't remember last time I was just flipping through channels, but I could imagine if it came on, it'd be like, oh, I'll leave this on. But it wasn't offensive.
Like a Motel 6 , maybe.
Yes.
Like, totally.
I wasn't offended by it.
Where is my 600-pound life? Where is it?
This will do.
Andy, what did you think of this movie?
I mean, pretty much everything you said, nonstop action. It seemed like a movie that was made. Trego said he was 12 at the time. It was made for a 12-year-old wrestling fan that just wanted to see action, The Rock, and hot babe. So it did everything that it was probably trying to do. But yeah, it was pretty bad.
And Trego,
but fun to watch.
Before you say your piece, I do want to say, going into this, like in these reviews, I never want to be that guy that's just like, oh, chicks and but like there really wasn't much else to pull for most of this movie. So I felt like our hands were tied a little bit, like in a lot of these scenes. It was so on the nose. But in any case, any final thoughts on this movie?
Nothing that we haven't said already. I mean, whatever. It was not. There was no. They weren't playing chess on multiple levels down. It was checkers on one level. And it was great seeing you guys and chatting with you guys. And I am absolutely 100% there if you do Kung Pao Enter the Fist in 2002. And I will start my scroll of notes right now. Oh my, it's so good.
I do want to add that because again, I hate when things don't matter. You could have taken out the scientist, you could have taken out the kid, both those characters, and even really the horse thief, and the movie doesn't change whatsoever.
And the prince, right?
And the prince you could take out, doesn't really change the movie whatsoever. It's the exact same movie.
And the brother.
And the brother, you could really, it doesn't really start until The Rock gives the weird grin to the girl at the end of the movie.
You're 100% right. Absolutely. I was thinking, like, when you guys were talking about something about how, like, The Rock was never in danger. It would have been nice if there was, like, a Herculean type of, like, he dies and then the sorcerer brings him back and then he's like, yeah, I'm juiced. Pow! And then kills people. But, like, there needed to be some sort of danger and there never was that. And it didn't really matter. And other than a couple of tongue-in-cheek moments, it all sucked.
I still don't know why he's the Scorpion King. Do we know this?
No. But
The
Okay.
next movie, he
I-
like fully embodies that, right?
I think
Wait,
from
is he in part 2?
No, so it was a prequel
No.
to the Mummy movie.
Oh no. Oh no. So I think from the movie standpoint, Andy, I think it is because there was scorpion poison on the arrow that he was stabbed with. Is the connection very
But
loose
she
connection?
sucked it out.
But she sucked it out, so he technically doesn't have any scorpion in him. But I think the truth is, it's just a flimsy way to connect it to the Mummy to help it sell more tickets.
Right.
Is what it really is.
It's a money grab. The whole
uh,
damn film was a money grab.
A mummy grab.
That's what I thought. You said, yeah.
Stupid. Cut that. Fix that in post.
I'll
Andy.
edit it.
So before we go, we do like to play a little game, and this one might be kind of tough, actually. Oh no, it's not. I think it's in one move. I think I've already got it. Where we play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. We see if Andy Ross can take someone from this movie and connect them to Kevin Bacon in 6 moves.
Do you
Andy,
have it, Jack? Do you want to do it? Do you have it?
Isn't it just like the Green Mile or something?
Yep. Keep going.
They're both in the Green. Aren't they both in the Green Mile? Am I wrong? Kevin Bacon.
Well, no, Kevin Bacon's not in the Green Mile. No, Clark Duncan's with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was in Apollo 13 with Kevin Bacon.
Oh, that's no fun. Can you connect The Rock?
Probably. Hit pause for a second.
You got to be able to connect The Rock, I'm sure, at this point. But we won't waste everyone's time. Trego, thanks for being on. Appreciate it. We'll have to have you on again when we review Kung Pao or when we review, I don't know, one of the other rock movies.
Literally anything but this. Yeah, 100%.
Trego, thanks for being on. We're going to revisit the Scorpion King.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how it ends with Godsmack. This movie that's thousands of years ago. Let's end with
I stand low. By the way, Godsmack ruled the world for like 9 months. Like they were.
Did it?
Maybe I'm overstating, but I mean, like they were a rock radio presence for like 9 months and then gone forever.
Yeah, good band name. They were probably like definitely in like WWE, maybe the UFC, like was playing Godsmack.
Oh yeah, you're with your Affliction t-shirt on. Absolutely. Oh, so sick. Affliction is like the guy's version of a tramp stamp. Like it's just like I just wear it on my chest. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Talk about aging poorly fashion. But we're moving on. In the following weeks, we're going to be doing, or following years, I should say. The following years, the next episode, we're going from 2002 to 2003 to do Mystic River. Quite a change from Scorpion King. Then we're going to review 2004's Spider-Man 2, and then we go to 2005 for 40-year-old Virgin. So a lot of sharp turns and zigzags in this show's season. But that does it for us. You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. Andy, where can the world find you?
You can find me at Just Andy Rossi.
And we can also see Dead Body on Tubi now and Amazon. And you can see Jack deliver the greatest single line in acting history.
Don't say it. Nope. Gotta watch it.
You gotta watch it. But Trego, where can the world find you and everything you're working on?
Trego the DJ and TregoTheDJ.com. And yeah, man, you guys are such an inspiration. It's so good to see your bright and shining faces. Seriously, get me on for another better movie.
Yeah, we'll get you on for a good one down the road. No problem. It'll be one that Andy picked.
Kung Pao.
We'll have to bring you on again. But thanks for being on, and to everyone who watched, listened, shared, subscribed, 5-star reviewed, liked, commented, whatever it is. Appreciate you, and we'll see you all again next year.